Global intelligence firm chief executive Eddy, and the author of Finding Cassandras to Prevent Catastrophes, alongside Richard Clark. And I think the best intelligence expert in the world today. So RP, thank you very much for joining us. All of this talk about Bolton, he's got his hand on the trigger. He has said he is for a preemptive strike in Iran and North Korea, but you say there's a silver lining.
There's a silver lining, but John, I don't want you to be too optimistic about my view. Okay, so there's a if you think of a spectrum of political positions inside sort of the Washington D.C. Beltway policy world, John Bolton lives on one extreme. There's no doubt about it. But he's still within that mainstream dialogue. And I think that matters. And the thing that matters more to me is Donald Trump, unfortunately, now seems to be throwing away a number of good advisors and believing he can make a lot of decisions on his own. And I don't think any president on his own can handle the massive complexity of the presidency, although I see him sort of steering that direction. So a guy like John Bolton, though I don't love his policies, in fact, I really dislike some of them, he is a loud guy. He's got a big point of view in a lot of things, and the president will not be able to throw his opinion away. So at least the president will have a real veteran hand with him. And this guy understands the State Department, he understands DOD, he understands international negotiations, he understands the UN, doesn't like most of those things, but at least he knows how it works, and at least the president won't be able to ignore him. And that matters to me. I want the president to have as much counsel around him as he can. I'm not speaking about if I love or hate Trump in that instance. I just want the president to have good counsel, or at least some wise counsel. And though John Bolton's positions are different than mine, he will give him counsel.
Bolton, you say, is a loud guy. I think it's fair to say our president, who he classified as the same. So you have two loud guys in the room, and now North Korea is at the bargaining table. Did this come about because of China stepping up, because of the U.S.? Why did they come to the bargaining table?
I will always take a pessimistic view of North Korea until I'm proved wrong, until we can begin to be optimistic.
They've only lied about everything else.
You got it. And so, look, I think the Olympics was a really smart thing. It was nice to get everyone to kind of reduce the tensions. That's a valuable thing. We bought some time, but time actually serves the North Koreans, not us. Right? So the next thing North Koreans have to do tactically is they have to prove that one of their ICBMs can deliver a payload to the United States or to within that kind of radius. Once they do that, they have every card they need for negotiation. And as long as they can delay us from doing a preemptive attack, which Bolton wants, which the president has entertained, which McMaster even entertained, as long as they can prevent that, and it's a great idea to throw a card out there that says, I want to negotiate, you slow things down, they can get to the point where they can be able to show that delivery, then they have a lot more to negotiate with. So that's kind of what I think is going on.
Would they really disarm? I mean, is this something?
Look, I would love that
they said it before,
yeah,
but
never say never.
But what happens if they don't?
It depends on your view of this, right? So it depends very simply if you think North Korea can be trusted as a rational, safe holder of nuclear weapons or not. And historically, everything they've said about nuclear weapons would lead you to that latter position. We really can't trust these guys. They've never said anything about being responsible actors until a few months ago when they came out and said, listen, don't worry, we're not maniacs, we're not going to nuke anybody, we'll be responsible nuclear actors. If they can continue that dialogue, if they can get some safe weapon handling procedures and protocols in place, as other countries did, like India and Pakistan and Israel, then maybe we can say, look, as much as we hate the idea, we've learned they're not crazy, and we can allow them to have some degree of nuclear weapons. If we can't get to that point of view, we're in a really tough pickle. And then all of a sudden, the John Bolton ideas, which currently seem crazy, seem less crazy.
And what does the Korean Peninsula look like if they do disarm? Do you see a unification? Do you
well,
see this?
if they do disarm, they're not doing it because they don't want nuclear weapons. They're doing it because they want something massive in return. And the way I kind of joke about it is the leaders want their kids to go play soccer at Stanford, right? They want to get back into the world. They want their kids to go play football, and they want to get back in the world. And so it won't be a matter of business as usual. It'll be they want trade back on. They'll be able to develop the oil fields that they have offshore, which are massive. They'll be back in the community of nations. They'll have debt provision, and they want to get going. Now the question then is, can you have a South Korea, North Korea, two countries so radically different? Will they change their system of governance or not? Will they stop with some of the chemical weapons issues, the biological weapons issues, the other stuff we care about? But so long as they're back in the community of nations, then you have a lot of questions about, again, proliferation. These are bad actors on all sorts of scales.
This isn't fair. We only got a few seconds left, but Russia. Are we doing enough to stop Russia actually hacking into the next election?
No, we're not. And, I know it's contrary to a lot of your guests on here. This president hasn't done enough to stand up against Russia. But I was really heartened to see that he kicked those diplomats out recently. I think that was a good thing, joining our NATO, our very special allies in Britain. There's a lot more he needs to do against Russia. And on state by state, remember, elections are managed at the state level. That means you've got every knucklehead in every small state trying to tell me he can prevent a hack from Russia. He can't do it. It is a massive vulnerability, and it needs to be fixed. Simply, every machine needs a paper trail. That's simple. That's all you got to do. They're still hackable, but if you leave your voting booth and you've got a paper certificate that says you voted as you did and you put that in a different bucket, now we have a trail and we don't have to worry as much about the hacking. It's still a big problem. 22 states were hacked in the last election, at least. And if you can see it, you can change it, as they say in information operations.
RP, I put out on Twitter that it was going to be great to have you on, and you're like a Santa Claus. You deliver.
Oh, John, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much.
Great to see you as well. Thank you very much, RP.